Dante and Beatrice ascend to the heaven of the sun, il cielo del sole. This is the fourth celestial sphere, the realm of the wise, and the first of the heavens untouched by the shadow cast by the earth. Dante struggles for words to describe this new wonder, but it completely surpasses his capacity. Though I might call on intellect, art and knowledge, he tells us, I could never express it so as to make it imaginable. Give thanks to the Son of the angels, Beatrice then cries, who in his grace has raised you to this visible sun. The heart of man was never so disposed to devotion, Dante confides, and so eager to give itself to God with all its will, as I was at those words. And my love was committed to him so completely it eclipsed Beatrice from memory. That did not displease her, he explains. She smiled at it, so that the splendour of her laughing eyes scattered my mind's coherence among many things. 12 dancing flares of glimmering light approach then and encircle them 3 times. They are the souls of some of the most illuminated philosophers, saints, and mystics to have ever graced the earth, and all have had the most profound beneficial effects on the people of their day, and unlike the souls encountered within the first 3 heavenly spheres, were utterly without stain in life. Well, by and by their swirling dance comes to an end, and the souls are still, yet they flicker like lighted candles on an elaborate chandelier. One of the shining presences glides forward toward them and introduces himself. He is Thomas Aquinas, the Dominican monk, arguably the greatest theologian of the Middle Ages, whose writings permeate Dante's thought throughout the entire Commedia. He is a bold addition, some say, for whilst he was ultimately revered and canonized after death, much of his work drew upon Islamic and Aristotelian ideas that were blacklisted by the Church for many years. Following in this Aristotelian fashion, nevertheless, Aquinas' writings on the relationship between revelation and reason, of the importance of both, created a new fusion of ideas that laid essential cornerstones for the later Renaissance and scientific revolution in Europe. But Thomas was also a mystic, a passionate devotee of the Virgin, who in the end, after writing over 200 theological texts, laid down his pen altogether, following an ecstatic mystical experience in which he was seen levitating in blissful abandon before a small altar in his cell. There's nothing more to say, he declared after that, and in consequence, his great work, Summae Theologica, Summary of Theology, remains incomplete. Aquinas introduces the other souls in his circle, making special mention of 2 great luminaries, King Solomon, the brightest of their number, to whom we will return, and St. Francis of Assisi. All then sing an ineffably beautiful song, after which Thomas recounts the story of St. Francis. He describes the gentle saint as a font of love, a man who brought a pure light into the world, a man whose life, adds Mark Vernon in his commentary, shone with an inner light so powerfully that it completely changed Europe. In telling his story, Aquinas adopts the metaphor of Lady Poverty, to whom the young Francis dedicated his life, following a visionary experience in which he was called to give up his life as the son of a rich merchant and restore the church to its humble origins. Francis and Lady Poverty, says Thomas, remained lovers to the end. And it was a passionate love, says Klein in his meditation on this canto, a kind of spiritual equivalent to Dante's initial courtly love for Beatrice. And there is a sense in which Dante wishes to transfer that spirituality to Beatrice, as he transforms her from a representative of the erotic love tradition to that of the divine. St. Francis was above all things a lover in this sense, embracing the whole of humanity and nature too. People and animals adored him, and he them. Birds would be silent when he preached outdoors. He embraced lepers. He stopped the village of Gubbio being terrorized by a wolf, by befriending it and persuading local folk to feed it every day. He travelled to Egypt in an ambitious attempt to convert the Sultan. He failed utterly, but it is said that the Sultan requested a special inscription on his gravestone, saying that he had met the Christian saint, and it had changed his life. High up in the Empyrean, we will discover St. Francis residing with the seraphim, the highest sphere of angelic beings, most closely associated with love and most intimately encircling the divine presence at the heart of the mystic rose. Well, Dante then hears the voice of Saint Bonaventura, one of Francis's beloved followers, who now comes forward from a second ring of lights that then appears before them. He eulogizes the life of Saint Dominic, the Spanish founder of the Dominican order. Bonaventura is the perfect soul to come forward here. In life, he had been head of the Franciscan order and had set himself the task of reconciling internal factions that had emerged since the death of St. Francis. Now, like Thomas, he is given the opportunity to eulogize the founder of the opposing order, and this is incredibly significant, as these two communities were frequently at odds. Like Francis, the life of Dominic had been pure from the start, Bonaventura explains. He had been a true warrior of the church and a great scholar, who turned away from the world to oversee God's vineyard. He created a new community, very different from that of his Franciscan brothers, with a great focus on theology and learning. The Dominicans, says Giuseppe Mazzotta, were the intellectual arm of the church, founded with a specific purpose of entering the universities and debating the various points of view. They were the philosophers, the Aristotelians, the poets, and they brought a new richness to the church. It was Dominic who instituted the 9 sacred prayer postures, designed to harmonize the body and mind during devotions. The positions range from the simple bow to lying fully prostrate before the altar. All 9 are still practiced by Dominican orders today. Yet he is perhaps most affectionately remembered for introducing the rosary into the everyday lives of the faithful, after having been gifted with one during a vision of the Virgin, a moment beautifully depicted in the painting by Bernardo Cavallini. Except for the Our Father, no Catholic prayer has ever been more revered than the Rosary. In the Paradiso, Dominic resides eternally with the cherubim, the second highest order of angels, reflecting his intellectual prowess and passion for theology, whilst the positioning of St. Francis reflects his more heart-centred nature. Yet remember, says Aquinas at the end of these accounts, whoever praises either, whichever he chooses, talks of both, since both their efforts were to the same end. Well, the 24 lights encircled Dante and Beatrice once more and sing together of the Holy Trinity. And truly, it seems as if all the accounts presented in this realm find their source, being, and destination in this mystery. 3 was Dante's mystic number, from which he fashioned the entire fabric of the Commedia, as we have said before. 3 enables insight and new possibility obscured by dualistic thinking. For Aristotle, 3 was the perfect number, within which innumerable opposites might be reconciled and brought to harmony. Patterns of 3s surround us in so many ways, in our sense of time, past, present and future, in our relationships, father, mother, child. The 3-part harmony is the basis of colour and music theory. Water has a 3-part tetrahedral structure. Every atom in the manifest world is composed of 3 parts, and even the bonds that hold atoms, particles, and molecules together are tetrahedral in their composition. There is even a Trinitarian structure of illumination, says Vernon, in which difference and paradox serve to illuminate the whole even more, as Aquinas and Bonaventura have shown. 3 links the beloved with the lover with the loving. It links the known with the knower, and the knower with the knowing. No wonder we resonate so deeply with these patterns, whether we are conscious of them or not. They speak to us in a language of beauty and harmony, which is universally understood. The appearance of Solomon at the start of these verses, pointed out to Dante by Aquinas as the brightest of the assembled souls, alerts our attention to this idea of reconciliation between opposites from the outset. He who was gifted with a wisdom so profound that, if truth be known, no other ever achieved so complete a vision. Now, as we near the ending, Solomon is cited again. And what a representative he is of this great blending of mind, heart and soul. He who prayed to God for sound and just wisdom with which to guide his people, And he, who in drawing upon the ancient wisdom of the sacred marriage celebration, in the sublime poetry of his Song of Songs, guides us still toward the promise of mystical union with the beloved. In the heaven of the sun, as in the whole of medieval culture, says Paolo Nasti, the erotic imagery of the Song of Songs is used to represent and celebrate the union between the human and the divine, the bond which in Dante's view is at the very core of any true intellectual experience. Seen in this light, Solomon becomes the perfect example of how intelligence and love can come together to create a fuller experience of the divine. Solomon's writings and their interpretations, continues Ms. Nasti, emerge as the essential paradigm for all inspired poetry. And Solomon himself figures as a very authoritative precursor of Dante himself, and not only in the field of love poetry. He is the exemplary being, the enamoured lover of sacred wisdom, a philosopher, a contemplative mind, and last but not least, the poet of the divine. Solomon, in other words, summarizes all the different aspects of Dante's idea of wisdom, that same wisdom that he himself aspired to achieve. It is no surprise, therefore, to discover that the final words of these canti, or verses, concerning the doctrine of the final judgment, are accorded to him. When that time comes, he explains, when we put completeness on afresh, all the more gracious shall our person be, reclothed in the holy and glorious flesh. Until then, the essence of the soul in paradise remains, clad in robes of radiant light. These are complex theological issues indeed, and differing views across the world's wisdom traditions abound. Yet Dante is enamoured by the notion of heaven on earth to come. As Solomon speaks, Dante feels himself rising. His time in the heaven of the sun is drawing to a close. But as he departs, with his beloved Beatrice by his side, a third ring of shimmering light is just beginning to emerge, and again they are reminded of the Trinity, the key, it seems, to harmony, strength, and life itself, the sacred symbol at the heart of the Christian dispensation that embodies a universal mystery reflected throughout nature and the structure of the cosmos itself. There have been many speculations as to what this third circle might signify, this final partial glimpse of a new body of light arising to join the others. Some say the first and second reflect the ages of the Father and of the Son, whilst the third, as yet unmanifest, heralds a new era of spirit yet to come, an era beyond patriarchy maybe, where the feminine soul is brought more closely into harmony with the whole. The feminine, writes Helen Luke, is already implicit within the Trinity, yet it is not acknowledged. It is the lost value, the sleeping beauty, we might say, the vessel of transformation searched for in the legends of the Grail, the loss of which has created a wasteland upon the earth. Split off from this feminine aspect of the sacred, there can be no wholeness, no ultimate healing of the soul. For Dante, there is no such split.